I was standing in line at the hardware store, holding a new drill bit and scrolling through my phone, when I saw my wife's face in a stranger's Instagram story. Not just her face, her body pressed against some guy in what looked like a hotel room, both of them laughing, his hand on her lower back in a way that made my stomach drop. The timestamp said 40 minutes ago. The location tag read, Riverside Plaza Hotel. I was supposed to be in Pittsburgh for a work conference. I'd left that morning at 5 a.m., kissed Melissa goodbye while she pretended to be half asleep, and driven to the airport. But my flight got canceled due to mechanical issues, and after 3 hours of waiting, they told us the conference's first day was being postponed anyway. I'd driven home, planning to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Thai place. The drill bit clattered to the floor. The Instagram account belonged to someone named @JBirdFitness, a personal trainer with 12,000 followers and abs you could see through his shirt. I clicked on his profile with shaking hands. There were dozens of photos. Him at the gym, him at the beach, him at various bars and restaurants around our city of Columbus, Ohio. I scrolled back through his feed, my throat getting tighter with each swipe. Then I found it. 3 weeks ago. A photo of a woman's hand holding a green juice, her wedding ring clearly visible, his caption reading, Morning Fuel with my favorite client. I recognized that ring. I'd spent 2 months' salary on it 6 years ago. I abandoned my cart and walked out of the hardware store into the bright October afternoon. My hands were steady as I opened my phone settings and enabled location sharing, not for her to see where I was, but so I could check where she was. We'd set it up years ago for safety, back when we actually trusted each other. Or when I thought we trusted each other. Her little icon sat right on top of the Riverside Plaza Hotel. The drive took 18 minutes. I didn't call, didn't text. I just drove, my mind weirdly blank except for small, stupid details. We needed to get the gutters cleaned before winter. I'd forgotten to cancel the newspaper subscription we never read. Our anniversary was in 2 weeks. The Riverside Plaza was one of those mid-tier business hotels with a marble lobby and a bored desk clerk who didn't look up when I walked in. I stood near the elevator bank, trying to figure out my next move. I couldn't exactly go door to door. I pulled up the Instagram story again, studying the background. There was a painting on the wall, some generic abstract art in blues and grays, a window with sheer curtains, a glimpse of a room number placard on the door, 847, 8th floor. My heart was hammering now as I stepped into the elevator. A businessman in a wrinkled suit got in with me, smelling like airport coffee and resignation. He got off on the 5th floor. I rode up alone, watching the numbers climb. The hallway on the 8th floor was empty and too quiet, just the hum of ice machines and muffled TV sounds behind closed doors. Room 847 was at the far end, and as I got closer, I could hear voices inside. Laughter. Her laughter. The one she used to give me when I'd say something unexpectedly funny. The one I hadn't heard in months. I stood outside that door for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. My whole body felt cold and hot at the same time. I thought about knocking. I thought about kicking the door down like they do in movies. I thought about walking away and pretending I'd never seen that Instagram story. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started recording a voice memo. Then I knocked. The voices inside stopped immediately. Footsteps. The door opened a crack, the security latch still engaged, and there was Melissa in a hotel robe, her hair damp, her face going from annoyed to confused to absolutely white in the span of 2 seconds. Trevor? Her voice came out as a whisper. Hey, honey. I was surprised by how calm I sounded. Funny running into you here. I thought you had that dentist appointment this afternoon. She didn't say anything, just stared at me like I was a ghost. Who is it? A male voice called from inside the room. I held up my phone, making sure she could see I was recording. You want to answer that or should I? Trevor, I can explain. I'm sure you can. 6 years of marriage, and you're at a hotel at 2 p.m. on a Thursday with some guy whose abs have their own Instagram following. I bet there's a great explanation. It's not what you think. Room 847 at the Riverside Plaza. That's what I think. October 19th, 2:23 p.m. That's what I know. I kept my voice level, almost friendly. The phone was still recording. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to leave now. I'm going back to our house. My house, actually, since my name's the only one on the deed. And you're going to stay here and think real hard about what you want to say to me, because the next conversation we have is probably going to involve lawyers. Trevor, please. I turned and walked away before she could finish. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else, but they carried me down that hallway, into the elevator, through the lobby, and out to my truck. I sat in the driver's seat for a minute, staring at the hotel entrance, half expecting her to come running out. She didn't. I stopped the recording, saved it to 3 different cloud services, and drove home. The house was exactly as I'd left it that morning. Coffee mug in the sink. Her yoga mat still rolled up by the door. The bed unmade. I walked through each room like I was seeing it for the first time, cataloging everything, my phone camera documenting it all. Then I went into my office, closed the door, and started making calls. I sat in the truck for another 20 minutes, letting the recording upload to 3 different cloud services. Belt and suspenders and a backup pair of suspenders. The lawyer, Diane Patterson, according to the website, had sounded sharp on the phone. Her paralegal would be waiting for my email. I sent the audio file, screenshots of the Instagram posts, and a detailed timeline with timestamps. Everything documented. My phone buzzed. Melissa, we need to talk, please. I stared at the message. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. She was typing something longer, deleting it, trying again. I watched this cycle repeat 4 times before setting the phone face down on the passenger seat. The hardware store parking lot had emptied out. Just my truck and a beat-up sedan near the entrance. I should have felt something. Rage, heartbreak, that crushing weight you see in movies. Instead, I felt hollow. No, not hollow, clear. Like someone had taken steel wool to the inside of my skull and scrubbed away everything except the ability to think in straight lines. My phone buzzed again. Not Melissa this time. My boss, Craig. Flight back up for tomorrow. AM. You still good to present Tuesday? The conference. The presentation I'd spent 3 weeks preparing. Innovations in supply chain logistics for mid-tier manufacturers. I'd been looking forward to it, actually. Networking opportunities, potential clients. Melissa had circled the dates on the kitchen calendar, written Trevor in Pittsburgh in her looping handwriting. She'd known I'd be gone. I typed back to Craig. All set. Send me the updated deck when you have it. Professional. Contained. Nobody at work needed to know my wife was currently in a hotel room with a man whose job description included the phrase, body transformation specialist. The phone buzzed twice more, both from Melissa. I didn't look. Instead, I started the truck and pulled out of the parking lot, heading home. Our home. The 3-bedroom colonial on Whitmore Street that we'd bought 4 years ago. I'd handled all the paperwork because Melissa said legal documents gave her a headache. The deed had my name, just mine. I'd mentioned adding hers a few times, but we'd never gotten around to it. Funny how things work out. The house looked exactly as I'd left it at 5 that morning. Melissa's car was gone, still at the hotel presumably, or maybe she'd driven somewhere to think. The neighbor's dog barked as I walked up the driveway. Mr. Patterson, no relation to my new lawyer, waved from his porch. I waved back. Everything normal, everything fine. Inside, the coffee mugs were still in the sink. Her yoga mat still unrolled in the living room from yesterday's session. I'd kissed her goodbye this morning. She'd been half asleep, mumbled something about her dentist appointment, pulled the covers back over her head. I set my laptop bag on the kitchen counter and stood there, listening to the house settle around me. The refrigerator hummed, the heating system clicked on. Ordinary sounds. Domestic sounds. The sounds of a life that had ended approximately 4 hours ago in a hotel hallway. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I pulled it out. 7 new messages from Melissa, each one more desperate than the last. Please come back. It's not what you think. Let me explain, Trevor, please. I made a mistake. Don't do this. I love you. That last one made me laugh. Actually laugh. A short, ugly sound that echoed wrong in the empty kitchen. I opened my messages and typed, I'll be home all evening. You know where to find me. Then I muted her contact and got to work. The house had 6 years of shared life packed into it. Photos on the walls, her clothes in the closet, her books on the shelves, her grandmother's china in the dining room hutch. Separating it all would take time, and time was something I now had plenty of. But first, I needed to secure what mattered. I went to my office, the spare bedroom I'd converted 2 years ago, and pulled out the filing cabinet. Our important documents lived here: insurance policies, tax returns, the house deed, car titles, bank statements. I'd always handled the finances. Melissa said numbers made her anxious. I photographed every document, uploaded them to a secure folder, then locked the originals in the fireproof safe we kept in the basement. The safe combination was our anniversary. I'd need to change that. Next, the bank accounts. We had joint checking and savings plus my individual retirement account. I pulled up the statements online. Nothing unusual in the checking, groceries, gas, her gym membership, the usual monthly expenses. Savings looked normal too. I took screenshots of everything, noted the balances, added them to the folder. Then I checked her credit card. We each had our own cards, paid them off monthly. I didn't usually look at her statements. Why would I? But now, scrolling through the charges from the past 3 months, I saw a pattern I'd missed. Riverside Plaza Hotel. 6 different charges over 8 weeks. All during times I'd been traveling for work or visiting my brother in Cleveland. My hands were steady as I took screenshots, noted the dates, cross-referenced them with my calendar. Every single charge corresponded to a day I'd been out of town. The hotel charges were always the same amount, $189. Their weekday rate for a standard room. I knew because I'd stayed there myself once 2 years ago for a regional conference. The breakfast buffet was mediocre, and the water pressure was terrible, but the location was convenient. Convenient for what exactly? Her gym was 15 minutes from our house in the opposite direction. There was no reason for her to be at that hotel unless my phone rang. Not a text this time, an actual call. Melissa's name lit up the screen, her photo smiling at me. I'd taken that picture last summer at Lake Erie. She was laughing, wind in her hair, sunset behind her. She'd made me take 17 versions before she liked one enough to approve. I let it ring through to voicemail. 30 seconds later, she called again. And again. And again. On the 5th call, I answered. Trevor, thank God. I'm listening, I said. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Calm. Almost pleasant. She was crying. I could hear it in her breathing, the way her words caught. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. A stupid mistake. Please, can I come home? Can we talk about this? You can come home. It's your home too. Technically not true, but she didn't need to know I was already thinking in legal terms. I'm coming now. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Please don't leave. Please. I'll be here. Trevor, I love you. I know you don't believe me right now, but I do. I love you so much. This didn't mean anything, it was just 20 minutes, I said, and hung up. I stood in my office, phone in hand, and felt that strange clarity settle over me again. She was coming home. She'd want to explain, to cry, to make promises. She'd want forgiveness. I walked to the kitchen and started a pot of coffee. Then I sat down at the table, pulled out a notepad, and began writing a list. Questions for Melissa. 1. How long? 2. How many times? 3. Does anyone else know? 4. Why? I stared at that last question for a long time. Why? Did it matter? Would any answer she gave change what I'd seen, what I'd heard, what I now knew? The coffee maker beeped. I poured myself a cup, added cream the way I liked it, and sat back down. Outside, I heard a car pull into the driveway. Her car. The engine cut off. A car door opened and closed. Footsteps on the walkway. The front door opened. Trevor? Her voice was small, scared. Trevor, where are you? Kitchen, I called back. She appeared in the doorway. Her eyes were red and swollen. Mascara tracked down her cheeks. She was still wearing the same clothes from the Instagram photo, jeans and a fitted sweater that I'd complimented this morning. Her wedding ring caught the light. We looked at each other across the kitchen table. Sit down, I said, gesturing to the chair across from me. Let's talk. The kitchen table felt different now. We'd eaten 1,000 meals here, paid bills, done taxes, planned vacations. Now it was just furniture. Melissa sat across from me, hands wrapped around a mug of tea I'd made out of habit. She hadn't touched it. Her eyes were red, makeup smeared, but I felt nothing looking at her. That surprised me more than anything. Not anger, not hurt, just a flat, empty nothing. Thank you for letting me come home, she said. It's my house. You're just living in it. The words came out matter of fact. The deed's in my name. Always has been. She flinched. Trevor, please. I'm not interested in begging or crying. I want facts. I pulled out my phone, set it on the table between us. Recording again. How long? 2 months, maybe 10 weeks. Her voice was barely above a whisper. His name? Jason Pruitt. How'd you meet? The gym. He offered me a free training session. I don't know what I thought. She wiped her eyes. It just happened. Nothing just happens, Melissa. You made choices, multiple choices, 6 hotel rooms, 6 separate decisions. I kept my voice level. Did you use protection? Her face went white. Yes, always. I'll need you to get tested anyway, full panel. I've got an appointment Monday at 2. You should make one too. Oh my God. She put her face in her hands. This is really happening. Yeah, it is. I leaned back in my chair. Here's what's going to happen next. Tomorrow morning, you're going to pack a bag. Enough for a week or 2. You're going to stay somewhere else while we figure this out. Where am I supposed to go? Your sisters, your parents, a hotel. I genuinely don't care. I watched her absorb that. You're not staying here. I need space, and frankly, I don't want you in my house. Your house, she repeated bitterly. Not our house. My house. My name on the deed. My down payment. You wanted your name kept off it for credit score reasons, remember? Said it would help us refinance later. I shrugged. Turns out that was good planning. She was crying now, shoulders shaking. I waited. I'm so sorry, she managed. Trevor, I'm so sorry. It was stupid and selfish, and I hate myself. Stop. I held up one hand. I don't need your self-flagellation. I need information. Was it just him? What? Yes. Of course it was just. I need to hear you say it clearly, for the record. I gestured at my phone. She stared at the phone, then at me. Something shifted in her expression, maybe realizing how thoroughly I was documenting everything. It was only Jason, no one else? Did you tell anyone about it? Friends? Your sister? No, God, no. Did he know you were married? She hesitated. Yes. You told him. He saw my ring. I didn't hide it. She touched her left hand unconsciously, still wearing it. That detail made my stomach turn. Take it off. What? Your ring. Take it off. You don't get to wear it anymore. Her hand shook as she twisted the band off her finger. She set it on the table between us, next to my phone. The small click of metal on wood sounded unnaturally loud. Did you love him? I asked. No, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like? She struggled for words. It was exciting. New. He paid attention to me in a way that felt, I don't know, different. I pay attention to you. Not like that. Not like I was the most interesting person in the room. You're always working, always traveling, always… She stopped herself. That's not fair. I'm not blaming you. This was my choice, my fault. You're right. It's not fair. And it is your fault. I picked up her ring, turned it over in my fingers. This cost me $4,000. I saved for 8 months. You remember that? Trevor, do you remember? Yes, I remember. I pocketed the ring. I'm keeping this. Consider it a down payment on what you owe me. What I owe you? 6 hotel rooms at $200 a night. That's $1,200. Probably more with fees. Training sessions with Jason, what were those? $80 an hour? Twice a week for 10 weeks? I was guessing, but her face told me I was close. That's another $1,600. Then there's the violation of our marriage, the emotional damage, the lawyer fees I'm going to rack up. I met her eyes. You owe me a lot, Melissa. She looked horrified. You're calculating it? Like a bill? Someone has to. Might as well be me. I pulled out a small notebook, the same one I'd been using to document everything. I'm going to need access to your credit card statements. All of them. And your phone. My phone? Every message, every photo, every email. I want to see all of it. That's private. I laughed. Actually laughed. You lost your right to privacy when you started sleeping with your trainer in hotel rooms on my dime. Hand it over or pack your bags tonight instead of tomorrow. She pulled her phone from her purse with trembling hands, unlocked it, slid it across the table. I opened her messages first, found Jason's thread immediately, saved under Jim with a dumbbell emoji. Cute. I scrolled through weeks of texts, nothing explicit, all coded. Same time Thursday, and room's ready, and can't wait to see you. You saved him as Jim, I said. I didn't want you to see if you looked. But you kept your location sharing on. You got sloppy. I forgot about it. You never thought I'd check, because I trusted you. I kept scrolling. Found photos. Nothing nude, but close. Him shirtless. Her in workout clothes that were definitely not from our gym. When were you going to tell me? I don't know. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. Were you going to leave me for him? No. Then what was the end game, Melissa? You just keep screwing him in hotel rooms forever? Wait for me to find out? Wait for him to get bored? I don't know. Her voice broke. I wasn't thinking about the future. I was just living in the moment. Living in the moment. I set her phone down. That's what we're calling adultery now? Please don't do this. Don't be cruel. I'm not being cruel. I'm being accurate. I stood up, walked to the counter, poured myself water. Needed something to do with my hands. Here's what happens next. Tomorrow you pack. You leave. You stay gone for at least a week. During that time, you don't contact me except through email, and only about practical matters. You don't come by the house. You don't show up at my work. You give me space. And then what? I turn to face her. Then I decide whether I'm willing to even consider trying to fix this. And honestly, right now I don't think I am. Right now I think I'm going to file for divorce, and you're going to sign whatever my lawyer puts in front of you, and we're going to be done. Trevor, please. 6 years. We've been together for 6 years. And you threw it away for a guy with abs and an Instagram account. I sat back down. That's on you, not me. She was sobbing now, full body shaking. Part of me wanted to comfort her. 6 years of habit. But I didn't move. I love you, she choked out. I still love you. You've got a hell of a way of showing it. I made a mistake, a terrible, stupid mistake. But it's over. I ended it today. I told him I couldn't see him anymore. When? After the hotel. I called him and told him we were done. Let me see. She reached for her phone, pulled up the call log. Sure enough, a 23-minute call to Jim at 4:47 p.m., right after I'd left her at the hotel. What did you tell him? That my husband found out, that it was over, that I needed to try to save my marriage. And what did he say? He was understanding. Said he figured it couldn't last forever. I felt something cold settle in my chest. He knew this was temporary. You both knew. She didn't answer. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out. Tonight. Now. Pack a bag and leave. I can't look at you anymore. Trevor, please. Now, Melissa. She stood on shaking legs, moved toward the stairs, stopped. Where are you going to be, in case I need to? You won't need to, and if you do, send an email. She climbed the stairs. I heard drawers opening, closet doors sliding, the sounds of someone packing in a hurry. 15 minutes later, she came down with an overnight bag and her purse. I'm sorry, she whispered one more time. I didn't respond. The front door closed behind her. I heard her car start, back out of the driveway, disappear down the street. Then I was alone in my house. Our house. My house. I picked up my phone, stopped the recording, sent it to cloud storage with all the others, picked up her wedding ring from where I'd left it on the table. Then I called my lawyer. The lawyer's office smelled like leather and old books. I sat across from Daniel Wright, a divorce attorney whose name I'd pulled from 3 different best of lists after 2 hours of research the night before. He was maybe 50, gray at the temples, wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than my truck payment. Walk me through it again, he said, pen poised over a yellow legal pad. I'd already told him everything once. The Instagram post, the hotel, the confrontation, the recordings. He'd listened without interrupting, taking notes in shorthand I couldn't read. What part? The deed. You said the house is solely in your name? That's right. We bought it 4 years ago. Melissa's credit score was in the low 500s. Student loans she'd defaulted on. A car repossession from before we met. The mortgage broker said we'd get a better rate if only my name was on the application. Wright made another note. And the title? Just me. She signed a quitclaim deed acknowledging she had no ownership interest. It was supposed to be temporary, until we could refinance and add her name later. I paused. We never got around to it. Good. He looked up. That's very good for you. Ohio is an equitable distribution state, but separate property acquired before marriage or kept solely in one name can sometimes be protected. The fact that she signed acknowledging no interest strengthens your position considerably. I'd spent half the night reading about Ohio divorce law. Equitable didn't mean equal. It meant fair. And fair was subjective. What about the credit cards? I asked. The hotel charges were on cards in your name? Joint accounts. She's an authorized user on 2 of them. Do you have the statements? I pulled out my phone and opened the photos I'd taken. 6 charges at the Riverside Plaza, all on Thursdays, all between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. The earliest was August 24th. The most recent was 3 days ago. Wright studied the screen, then copied the dates onto his pad. This establishes a pattern. Premeditation. That matters. For what? For everything. Custody if there were children involved, which there aren't, correct? No kids. Alimony calculations. Asset division. A judge looks at this and sees deliberate deception, systematic lying, financial infidelity using marital funds to facilitate an extramarital relationship. He set down his pen. It paints a picture. The way he said it made it sound clinical, sterile, like Melissa was a defendant instead of the woman who used to leave notes in my lunch bag. How long does this take? I asked. Depends. Contested or uncontested? I don't know yet. I told her to get a lawyer. Wright leaned back in his chair. It creaked softly. Has she tried to contact you since the confrontation? 47 times. I'd counted. Texts, calls, voicemails. I hadn't responded to any of them. She's staying at her sister's place in Westerville. Don't respond, not without running it past me first. Anything you say can complicate things. He tapped his pen against the pad. I'm going to be direct with you, Trevor. You're in an unusually strong position. Sole ownership of the marital residence, documented infidelity, evidence of financial misconduct. If she's smart, her attorney will advise her to settle quickly and quietly. And if she's not smart, then we go to court and she loses badly. He said it matter-of-factly, like he was describing the weather. I'll need a retainer of $5,000 to start. That covers initial filing, document preparation, and the first 10 hours of my time. If this goes to trial, costs escalate, but I don't think it will. I'd already transferred money from savings to checking, the account Melissa didn't have access to. I can write you a check now. Let's finish going through everything first. Wright flipped to a new page. Other assets, vehicles? 2. A 2019 Ford F-150, paid off in my name. A 2021 Honda CR-V with 3 years left on the loan in her name. Retirement accounts? I have a 401k through work, about $82,000 in it. She has an IRA from a previous job, maybe $12,000. Bank accounts? Joint checking and savings, roughly $15,000 combined. I opened a separate account yesterday and transferred half. Wright nodded approvingly. Smart. What else? Investments? Property? Valuables? No other property, no stocks or bonds. My grandfather's watch, but that's separate property. I inherited it before we married. Debts? The mortgage, about $210,000 remaining. Her car loan, $18,000. My truck's paid off. No other major debts. He was writing faster now, columns of numbers forming on the page. This is straightforward. The most complicated piece will be the house. Given that it's solely in your name and she signed away interest, I'm confident we can protect it. But she may argue she's entitled to some compensation for equity gained during the marriage. How much equity? What did you pay for it? $265. It's worth about $320 now, according to Zillow. So roughly $55,000 in equity, minus selling costs. She might argue she's entitled to half of that. Call it $25,000. But given the circumstances, I think we can negotiate that down significantly or eliminate it entirely. The idea of writing Melissa a check for $25,000 made my jaw tighten. For what? Sleeping with her trainer in hotel rooms I paid for? I understand the frustration, but this is about strategy, not emotion. Sometimes paying a small settlement avoids a larger fight. Wright met my eyes. That said, I think we can do better than that. Much better. Especially with the recordings you mentioned. I have 3. The confrontation at the hotel. A conversation the next morning when she came to get her things. And one from yesterday when she showed up at the house crying. You told her you were recording? Every time. First thing I said. Excellent. Ohio is a one-party consent state, but announcing it anyway removes any possible ambiguity. He made another note. I'll need copies of everything. The recordings, the Instagram screenshots, The credit card statements, the deed, the quitclaim, marriage certificate, any prenuptial agreement, no prenup, bank statements for the past year, tax returns for the past 3 years, documentation of all assets and debts, anything else you think might be relevant. I had most of it already organized in a folder on my laptop. The past 3 days had been a blur of documents and spreadsheets, tracking down paperwork, making lists. It gave me something to do besides think. "When do we file?" I asked. "I can have the petition ready by Monday. We'll file for dissolution of marriage on grounds of adultery, request exclusive use of the marital residence, and propose a division of assets heavily weighted in your favor." Wright looked up. "She'll be served within a few days after that. Once she retains counsel, we'll see what kind of counteroffer they make. And if she doesn't retain counsel, then she's a fool, but it happens more often than you'd think." He closed his notepad. "One more thing. How are you holding up?" The question caught me off guard. For the past hour, we'd talked about Melissa like she was a line item on a balance sheet. Numbers and dates and legal strategies. "I'm fine." Wright gave me a look that suggested he'd heard that before and didn't believe it. "I've been doing this for 23 years. I've seen a lot of people sit in that chair. The ones who say they're fine are usually the ones who aren't. What do you want me to say? That I'm angry? That I feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner?" I kept my voice level. "I can fall apart later. Right now, I need to make sure she doesn't take everything I've worked for." "She won't. I can promise you that much." Wright stood and extended his hand. "Get me those documents by Friday. I'll have the petition drafted over the weekend. We'll meet again Monday morning to review before filing." I shook his hand and left. Outside, the October sun was too bright. I sat in my truck in the parking lot and pulled out my phone. Melissa had texted again while I was inside. "Please talk to me. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. 6 years has to mean something." I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Wright was right. Anything I said could complicate things. But 6 years did mean something. It meant I knew exactly how she liked her coffee. It meant I could tell when she was lying by the way she touched her left earring. It meant I'd spent 2,000 days building a life with someone who'd thrown it away for a guy with good abs and an Instagram account. I started the truck and drove home. My home. The one with my name on the deed. The text message came through at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, 3 weeks after I'd kicked Melissa out. Unknown. Number: "You need to see this. Your wife isn't who you think she is." Below it, a video file. 42 seconds long. I was in my truck outside a job site in Westerville, coffee getting cold in the cup holder. I'd been avoiding Melissa's calls for days. Her sister's number, her mom's number, even numbers I didn't recognize. All blocked. But this one had come through before I could stop it. I almost deleted it without watching. Almost. The video started shaky, someone filming from inside a parked car at night. The timestamp in the corner read October 2nd, 2.5 weeks before I'd caught her at the hotel. The location tag showed a strip mall parking lot on the east side, near where Melissa's sister lived. The camera zoomed in on 2 figures standing between cars under a streetlight. Melissa, unmistakable in her gray yoga jacket, and Jason Pruitt, leaning against what looked like a black Mercedes. But they weren't kissing. They weren't touching at all. They were arguing. I turned up the volume. The audio was distant, muffled by car windows and distance, but I caught fragments. "Told you it would take time," Melissa's voice strained. 3 months already?" Jason, his tone sharp. "Not paying me to be patient." My hand tightened on the phone. "Doing everything you asked." Melissa again, clearer now. The person filming must have cracked their window. "He trusts me completely. Just need a few more weeks." Jason stepped closer to her, and even through the grainy video I could see Melissa flinch back. Better be worth it, Jason said. That house equity alone. The video cut off. I sat there in my truck, engine ticking as it cooled, staring at the black screen. Not paying me to be patient. Everything you asked. That house equity alone. The coffee in my cup holder had gone completely cold. I didn't remember the last 5 minutes. My hands felt numb. I played it again. Then a third time. The timestamp. October 2nd. That was a Wednesday. I'd been in Cleveland for a supplier meeting, gotten home around 9 that night. Melissa had been in bed already, said she had a headache. I'd believed her. The text thread showed the sender was still typing. 3 dots pulsing on the screen. Then another message appeared. Unknown number. There's more. Call this number if you want to know what she's really been planning. Below it, a phone number with a 614 area code. I didn't call. Not right away. Instead, I forwarded the video to my own email, downloaded it to 3 different cloud services, and saved it to an encrypted folder on my laptop. Then I sat in my truck for another 20 minutes, watching traffic move past on the street, thinking, not paying me to be patient. Jason Pruitt wasn't just Melissa's affair partner. He was being paid. This wasn't about attraction or connection or whatever story she'd tried to spin at the hotel. This was transactional. And they'd been talking about the house. My house. The equity I'd built over 6 years of mortgage payments while Melissa's credit stayed too damaged to even co-sign. I thought about the quit-claim deed she'd signed when we bought the place. How she'd been so understanding about it, so reasonable. It makes sense, she'd said. Your credit is better. We'll fix mine eventually. We never had fixed it. At 7:15, I called the number. A woman answered on the second ring. You watched it. Not a question. Who is this? My voice came out steady. I was getting good at that, sounding calm when everything inside felt like static. My name is Rachel Boyd. I'm Jason Pruitt's ex-wife. A pause. Well, almost ex. The divorce finalizes next month. I waited. I've been watching him for weeks, she continued. He did the same thing to me. The charm, the attention, the whole routine. Except with me, he actually went through with the marriage. Cleaned out our joint account 3 months later and disappeared for a week. Came back with some story about a business investment. I believed him. Her laugh was bitter. I believed him for 2 years. Why are you telling me this? Because your wife came to him. She found him specifically. I saw the messages on his old iPad. He forgot to wipe it before he moved out. She contacted him last June, said she had a business opportunity. Offered him $15,000 to seduce her, document the affair, and help her set you up. The job site noise outside my truck seemed to fade into white noise. Set me up for what? Divorce fraud. She wanted evidence of infidelity, her own infidelity, but framed to make you look like the bad guy. The plan was for you to catch them, kick her out, look like the wronged husband. Then she'd turn it around somehow, claim you were abusive or controlling, that she'd been driven to it. Get a sympathetic judge, walk away with half of everything despite the affair. I watched a cement mixer turn into the site entrance, its drum rotating slowly. The house equity was the main target, Rachel continued. She knew she had no legal claim to it with that quit-claim deed. But if she could prove a pattern of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, if she could make you look bad enough, she thought she could get a judge to ignore the deed. Award her half anyway, maybe more. That's insane. That's Jason's specialty. He's done this twice before that I know of. Helps unhappy spouses manufacture evidence, stage affairs, create paper trails. Then they split whatever settlement they get. He was supposed to get 30% of whatever she walked away with. My mouth tasted like copper. The video you sent is them planning it. I've got 7 more just like it. Hours of recordings. I've been following him since I found out what he really is." Her voice hardened. "I want to bury him, and I want to make sure your wife doesn't get a dime she doesn't deserve." "Why help me?" "Because Jason told me about you. Bragged about it, actually. Said you were the perfect mark. Trusting, stable, too decent to see it coming. Said your wife was smarter than the others, more patient." Rachel's breath caught. "And because if I can prove he's been running this scam, it strengthens my case. I might be able to claw back some of what he took from me." A text notification popped up on my screen. Rachel again, sending files, video files, screenshots, what looked like bank records. "I'm sending you everything I have," she said. "Your lawyer is going to want to see all of it, especially the messages where Melissa and Jason discussed timing the hotel visits to match your work trips. They planned every single one." I thought about Melissa at the hotel room door, mascara running, trying to explain. The way she'd reached for me. It had all been performance. "There's one more thing," Rachel said. "Jason's getting nervous. Your wife was supposed to wait longer before you caught them. Let the affair run another month at least, build more evidence. But you came home early that day, found them before they were ready. The whole plan got accelerated, and now Jason's worried it won't hold up. He's been pressuring Melissa to pivot, try a different angle." "What angle?" "I don't know yet. But they're meeting tomorrow night. Same parking lot as that video, 9 p.m. I'll be there recording. If you want to join me, I'll be there. Don't confront them. Just watch and document. Let them hang themselves." She ended the call. I sat in my truck until 7:45, watching the video files she'd sent download one by one. Then I called Daniel Wright, my attorney, and told him we needed to meet today. Not tomorrow, today. He cleared his afternoon. By the time I walked into his office at 2 p.m., I'd watched all 8 videos Rachel had sent. I'd seen Melissa and Jason planning every detail, which hotels to use, how much to charge to the credit cards, what Melissa should say when I inevitably found out. I'd seen them laughing about it. I'd seen Jason kiss her once, quick and businesslike, sealing some agreement. I'd seen Melissa check her wedding ring in a car mirror before walking into one of their hotel meetings, making sure it was visible. Everything calculated, everything staged. Daniel listened to the whole thing without interrupting, his expression getting darker with each detail. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. "This changes everything," he said. The video from Rachel ended with Melissa and Jason laughing about how easy it would be to manipulate me. I watched it 3 more times, each viewing making my jaw clench tighter. My phone buzzed. Daniel Wright. "I've reviewed the video you sent," he said without preamble. "This changes everything. We need to meet tomorrow morning, 8 sharp. And Trevor, don't contact Melissa. Don't tip our hand." "I won't." "I mean it. No angry texts, no confrontation. Let her think you're still in the dark about the fraud angle. She knows you caught the affair, but she doesn't know you know about the scheme." "Understood." After we hung up, I sat in my truck outside the house, my house, and considered my next move. Rachel's text had mentioned recording tomorrow night's meeting at 9. That gave me roughly 24 hours to prepare. I pulled up my banking app and scrolled through recent transactions. The $15,000 Melissa had paid Jason came from our joint checking account, money I'd deposited from my last 3 paychecks. I took a screenshot, then another of the account balance. Then I transferred every dollar from joint checking into my personal account. It took 4 taps. The savings account was already solely in my name. So were the investment accounts. Melissa had never cared about finances, had always been happy to let me handle all that boring stuff. Her words, not mine. I went inside and found her yoga mat still rolled up by the couch where she'd left it that morning. Her coffee mug sat in the sink, lipstick print on the rim. I'd told her to come get her things, but she'd only grabbed clothes and toiletries. Everything else remained, like she thought this was temporary, like she'd be moving back in once her plan worked. My phone buzzed again. Melissa this time. Can we talk? Please? I know you're angry, but we need to discuss logistics. I stared at the message. Daniel had said not to tip our hand, but ignoring her completely might seem suspicious. I needed to act like a betrayed husband who'd caught his wife cheating, hurt, angry, but not aware of the deeper con. Lawyer handles logistics now. You wanted this. Her response came immediately. I didn't want this. It just happened. You're never home, Trevor. I was lonely. The audacity made me laugh out loud in my empty kitchen. She was still performing, still building her narrative. The neglectful husband who drove his poor wife into another man's arms. I was working to pay for this house that you signed over to me. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. That's what I mean. It's always about money with you, about who owns what. I felt like a guest in my own home. I could see the strategy now, clear as day. She was documenting our text exchange, building evidence of my controlling behavior around finances and property. Every word was calculated. Goodbye, Melissa. I blocked her number. Then I went to my office and pulled out the folder I'd been building. Credit card statements showing the hotel charges. Screenshots of Jason's Instagram, the recording I'd made at the Riverside Plaza. And now, Rachel's video showing the whole fraudulent scheme. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Trevor? A woman's voice, not Melissa. This is Rachel Boyd, Jason's wife. We texted earlier. I got your video. Good. Listen, I need to explain something about tomorrow night. Jason and Melissa are meeting at a different hotel, the Grandview Suites on Henderson Road. Room 412. They're planning their next move. Next move? The affair reveal was supposed to happen differently. You weren't supposed to come home early. The plan was for you to find out gradually, maybe see some texts, get suspicious, eventually catch them. That way, Melissa could claim you'd been paranoid and controlling for weeks before you had proof. She was going to document your increasingly erratic behavior. I thought about the doorbell camera I'd installed last month. Melissa had complained about it, said it made her feel watched. At the time, I'd thought she was being paranoid. Now I understood. She'd been building her case even then. But I caught them too early, I said. Exactly. So now they're pivoting. Tomorrow night they're going to discuss Plan B. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll be recording everything. Jason doesn't know I've been tracking his phone. Why are you helping me? Rachel laughed, bitter and sharp. Because I was you, 6 months ago. Jason ran this exact scam with his previous client in Cleveland. Woman named Ashley Grant. She paid him $20,000 to help her divorce her husband and get a bigger settlement. Jason played the affair partner, helped her build a case for emotional abuse and neglect. The husband lost half of everything. Jesus. Ashley's ex-husband killed himself 3 months after the divorce finalized, drove his car into a bridge support on I-90. The words hung in the air between us. I didn't know about any of it until I found Jason's files, Rachel continued. He keeps records, names, amounts, strategies. There have been 4 women before Melissa. 4 marriages he's helped destroy for profit. And you're still married to him? Not for long. I filed last week. But I'm not letting him do this again. Not to you, not to anyone. After she hung up, I sat at my desk and tried to process it all. This wasn't just about Melissa's affair. It wasn't even just about her trying to steal half my house. This was professional, organized. Jason Pruitt was running a business destroying marriages, and my wife had hired him. I pulled up Jason's Instagram again, scrolling back through months of posts, workout videos, motivational quotes, client testimonials, and scattered throughout, Photos with women who weren't Rachel. Different women at different hotels, always tagged with vague location markers. Breakfast meeting with a client. Celebrating progress. One from 4 months ago showed him with a blonde woman at what looked like the same Riverside Plaza bar where I'd seen him with Melissa. I reverse image searched the photo. It took 3 tries, but eventually I found her. Ashley Grant, from Cleveland. Her Facebook was public. Divorced, according to her status. Recent posts were all inspirational quotes about new beginnings and finding yourself after trauma. I scrolled further back. Photos of Ashley with her ex-husband. Happy couple at the beach. Anniversary dinner. New house. Then nothing. A gap of 4 months. Then the divorce announcement, framed as liberation. Finally free to be myself. Her ex-husband's profile was still up. Timothy Grant. The last post was from his brother. Tim, we miss you every day. Rest in peace. I closed my laptop. Tomorrow morning I'd meet with Daniel and show him everything. Tomorrow night Rachel would record Melissa and Jason's meeting. And then we'd burn their whole operation down. But tonight, I sat in my house with my name on the deed, and felt something shift. The hurt from Melissa's betrayal was still there, sharp and cold. But underneath it, something harder was forming. She'd hired a professional con artist to destroy me. She'd paid $15,000 of my money to manipulate me into losing everything I'd worked for. She'd picked the wrong target. My phone buzzed. Email from Daniel Wright, sent at 10:47 p.m. Did some research on Jason Pruitt. Found 3 civil suits filed against him in the past 2 years, all settled out of court. Also found something interesting. He's not a licensed personal trainer. The certifications on his website are fake. We might have grounds for fraud charges beyond just the divorce scheme. See you at 8. Asterisk. I forwarded the email to Rachel, then started a new document on my laptop. I titled it Evidence Log and began typing everything I knew, every detail, every transaction, every lie. Outside, a car drove past slowly. I glanced up and saw Melissa's Honda circling the block. She was watching the house, probably wondering what I was doing, whether I was falling apart or planning my next move. Let her wonder. I closed the blinds and kept typing. The courthouse steps were cold on a Thursday morning in late January. I stood with Daniel Wright, watching Melissa and her attorney, a tired-looking public defender named Kevin Ross, walk toward us through the parking lot. 3 months had passed since that October afternoon at the Riverside Plaza. 3 months of depositions, document reviews, and watching Melissa's carefully constructed fraud fall apart piece by piece. Rachel Boyd had delivered everything she'd promised. 8 videos of Melissa and Jason planning the scheme. Bank records showing the $15,000 payment. Text messages discussing how to manipulate me into a disadvantageous divorce settlement. Even a written contract between them, splitting the projected proceeds 70-30. The Ohio Attorney General's office had gotten involved after Daniel presented the evidence. Jason Pruitt was currently awaiting trial on multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. Rachel's divorce had been fast-tracked and finalized. She'd walked away with everything, plus a restraining order. Melissa had tried to fight at first. Hired an expensive attorney with money borrowed from her parents, claimed the videos were taken out of context, that Jason had manipulated her too. That lasted exactly 1 deposition when her lawyer saw the full extent of the evidence and advised immediate settlement. She'd fired him and couldn't afford another one. Now she stood 20 feet away, wearing a coat I'd bought her 2 Christmases ago, looking small and defeated. Our eyes met for a second. She looked away first. Final offer, Daniel said to Kevin Ross when they reached us. She signs the settlement as written. No alimony, no property division, no claims to the house or any other assets. She takes her personal belongings, her car, which she'll continue paying off herself, and her IRA. That's it. Kevin glanced at Melissa, who was staring at the ground. My client would like to request, your client is facing potential criminal charges as an accessory to fraud, Daniel interrupted. The only reason the AG hasn't filed yet is because we've indicated she's cooperating. If this goes to trial, that cooperation ends. Melissa's voice came out barely above a whisper. I'll sign. Kevin looked like he wanted to argue, but he just nodded and pulled out the settlement agreement. We moved to a bench near the courthouse entrance. Daniel produced a pen. Melissa's hand shook as she signed her name on 4 different pages. I watched her wedding ring, the one I'd given back to her through her sister, catch the winter light. She was still wearing it. I'd stopped wearing mine the day I caught her at the hotel. The house will be refinanced in Mr. Thomas's name only, Daniel said, walking through each clause. All joint accounts have been closed and divided according to the attachment. Mrs. Thomas acknowledges no claim to Mr. Thomas's retirement accounts, savings, or any other assets acquired during the marriage. I'd stopped thinking of her as Mrs. Thomas weeks ago. She was just Melissa now, a person I used to know. Vehicle titles will be transferred to individual names. Mr. Thomas retains the 2019 Ford F-150. Mrs. Thomas retains the 2021 Honda CR-V and assumes sole responsibility for the remaining loan balance. Melissa signed again. Her lawyer witnessed. This settlement agreement includes a non-disparagement clause, Daniel continued. Neither party will make public statements about the other or about the circumstances of the divorce. Violation results in a penalty of $50,000. That had been my addition. I didn't want Melissa running to social media with some revised version of events where she was the victim. Finally, Mrs. Thomas acknowledges that all evidence of fraud has been preserved and may be turned over to law enforcement if she violates any terms of this agreement or attempts to pursue future legal action against Mr. Thomas. The last signature, it was done. Kevin Ross gathered the papers and stood. We'll file this morning. The judge should sign off by end of week. Melissa hadn't moved. She sat on the bench, hands in her lap, staring at nothing. Melissa. Her lawyer touched her shoulder. We should go. She looked up at me then. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. I'm sorry, she said, for what it's worth. I'm sorry. I could have said a lot of things. I could have told her that sorry didn't cover 3 months of my life spent untangling her lies. That sorry didn't cover the $15,000 she'd stolen. That sorry didn't cover hiring someone to destroy me. Instead, I just said, goodbye, Melissa. Daniel and I watched them walk back to the parking lot. Kevin's car was a 10-year-old Civic with a dent in the bumper. Melissa got in the passenger seat. They drove away. How do you feel? Daniel asked. Tired. That's normal. He put the settlement copies in his briefcase. You should feel good about this. You protected everything you worked for. She walked away with almost nothing. He was right. I'd won. The house was mine. The savings were mine. She'd gotten exactly what she'd signed up for 6 years ago when she put her name on nothing. But standing there on those courthouse steps, watching my marriage officially end, I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. What happens to Jason? I asked. Trial's set for April. Rachel's testifying. So is Ashley Grant's estate. Her ex-husband's brother is pursuing a wrongful death suit. The AG thinks they can get him for fraud, conspiracy, maybe even manslaughter depending on how the civil case goes. Daniel closed his briefcase. He'll do time. Significant time. Good. That was something at least. We shook hands, and Daniel left. I sat on the bench for a while watching people come and go from the courthouse. Young couples applying for marriage licenses, smiling and nervous. Older couples filing paperwork with grim faces. The whole cycle of people binding themselves together and tearing themselves apart. My phone buzzed. Rachel Boyd. Heard it's finalized. Congratulations. Drink sometime? We'd become something like friends over the past 3 months, bonded by the shared experience of being targeted by the same con artist. She was good people, sharp, funny, angrier than me, but working through it. Maybe next week. Need some time? Understood. Offer stands. I drove home, to my house, legally and completely mine as of this morning. Pulled into the driveway and sat there for a minute, looking at it. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a garage I'd converted into a workshop. I'd replaced the gutters in November, fixed the fence gate in December, painted the kitchen last weekend. It was a good house, solid, well-maintained, worth every dollar I'd put into it. It was also very, very quiet. Inside, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table where Melissa and I had eaten 1,000 meals, where I'd confronted her 3 months ago, where she'd cried and lied and performed her role perfectly. The house would sell for about $320 now, maybe more in the spring. I could take the equity, move somewhere new, start completely over, leave Columbus and all its memories behind. Or I could stay. Keep the house, keep the job, keep the life I'd built before Melissa tried to take it from me. I didn't know yet. That was okay. What I did know, I'd learned something about trust. Not that you shouldn't give it. That would make you paranoid and small. But that you should pay attention to the details. The small inconsistencies. The things that don't quite add up. I'd ignored warning signs because I'd wanted to believe in the story we were telling ourselves about our marriage. I wouldn't make that mistake again. My phone buzzed again. My brother Jake, checking in like he had every few days since this started. All done? All done. Beer tonight? Yeah. That sounds good. I finished my coffee and washed the cup. Put it in the drainer. Looked around the kitchen, my kitchen, and felt something loosen in my chest. Not happiness, not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. The sense that the worst was over and I was still standing. Melissa had tried to destroy me for money. She'd hired a professional, planned it for months, executed it carefully, and she'd lost everything because she'd underestimated one simple fact. I paid attention. I documented. I didn't fall apart when it mattered most. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the window, I saw a delivery truck pulling away. On the porch sat a small package addressed to me. I brought it inside and opened it. Inside was my wedding ring, the one I'd stopped wearing in October, and a note in Melissa's handwriting. You were right. I became someone I don't recognize. I hope you find someone who deserves you. I'm sorry I wasn't her. I held the ring for a moment, feeling its weight. Then I put it in my desk drawer with all the other remnants of my marriage, the settlement papers, the evidence files, the recordings I'd never listened to again. Some people might have thrown it away, made some symbolic gesture of moving on. But I kept it. Not as a reminder of Melissa, but as a reminder of what I'd survived, what I'd learned. The price of not paying attention, and the value of staying clear-headed when everything falls apart. That night, Jake and I sat in a bar downtown, drinking beer and watching basketball on the TV above the bar. He didn't ask about the divorce. We just talked about normal things. His kids, his job, whether the Cavaliers had any chance this season. Around 9, he looked at me and said, "You're going to be okay." "I know," I said. And I meant it. The thing about betrayal is that it teaches you something valuable if you let it. You're stronger than you think. You can survive worse than you imagined. And the people who try to break you for their own gain will eventually break themselves. Melissa had wanted my house, my money, my life's work. She'd hired someone to help her take it. And in the end, she'd walked away with nothing but a car payment and the knowledge that she'd destroyed something real for something that was never going to last. I'd walked away with everything I'd built, plus something she couldn't take. The certainty that I'd handled it right. I hadn't fallen apart. I hadn't let emotion override strategy. I documented, prepared, and protected what was mine. That was worth more than any settlement. Jake raised his beer. To new beginnings. I clinked my bottle against his. To paying attention. We drank, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months. The future opening up instead of closing down. There would be other relationships, other chances, other mornings waking up next to someone I trusted. But this time, I'd be smarter. This time, I'd know the difference between love and performance. This time, I'd trust, but I'd verify every step of the way. The game went into overtime. We ordered another round. And somewhere across town, in whatever apartment she'd moved into with her sister, Melissa was living with the consequences of trying to con the wrong person. I hoped it taught her something. But honestly, that wasn't my problem anymore.